thank you
Sure.
everybody for joining this webinar today. We know it's late in Bangladesh. We appreciate everybody who are joining this session. It will be a very interactive session and discussion on USA. We have our guests. We have Ms. Catherine and Mr. Pat from our team of North America. We also have Mr. Just bear me a second. We also have Mr. Ratish Ravi, Regional Director of South Asia from Gannon University, Mr. S.M. Hockmoon from Trine University, USA, and Mr. Tyler King, Executive Director, International Affairs from Lewis University. So I would like to thank every guest who has joined here today. It will be a discussion on how we can work more effectively on USA universities. It will be a question Q&A session while we are discussing the aspects of recruiting in USA universities. So let's get started. My first question would be for Catherine. I would like to give Catherine the floor. Catherine, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Thank you. Could you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining this session today. I know it's nighttime for the majority of you. My name is Catherine, and I'm the Senior Partnership Manager for Global Study Partners upGrad GSP here in North America. So I work alongside Pat Colabucci, and I typically am managing all of our US partners on the East Coast. So thank you so much for having me. And please, we do want this to be interactive. So if you do have any questions or comments along the way, feel free to just unmute or type in the chat box, and we'll get to that as soon as possible.
Great. Thank you, Catherine. My first question to you would be, what are the key differences between the US education system and other education systems around the world?
Okay, so I'm definitely going to call upon my colleagues on the call to help me out with this, but I would say the major difference between the US and the rest of the world is that they have a decentralized governance of institutions. So basically every state has control over their curriculum and policies, unlike most of the world that has a standardized national education system. So with that, I would say that the US offers a lot more flexibility of choice. They have a diverse range of institutions, price points, programs, pathways, liberal arts colleges, all the way to technical institutes, whereas the rest of the world really focuses on a standardized national curriculum. Does anybody else want to add to that?
I'll be happy
I want to mention.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Ratish.
Go ahead, Patrick. I'll do it after you. Go ahead, please.
No, I want to mention that when you're at a U.S. university, there's a lot of flexibility and discretion that the student has. Changing a major or choosing two majors in your first or second year, especially in undergraduate, universities are very open to that. So you have the student has a lot of discretion in choosing their educational path. Not so much at the graduate level, but at the undergraduate level, they really do.
Yeah, great. Yeah, that's one point which I thought of discussing, so generally we can call them as flexible curriculum, where the students have the freedom to change the major if you are not able to cope up with the major which you have selected in the first or second, or even the third semester, without losing much of your time. I know in the South Asian countries, for example, when you start with the Bachelor of Computer Science, and after 2 semesters, if you decide to change to cybersecurity, you have to start from the beginning. But in US, the great thing is that in the third semester, you can change your major by carrying forward the credits which you got in the first 2 semesters, most of them. The second one is that when you talk about generally about the US comparing to the rest of the world, I would say the STEM program, which is a standardized policy which the US is following for a long time, which guaranteed the students like a 3-year OPT, the optional practical training for the STEM, like 1+2, where most of the countries, they have changed the policy in the last couple of years, couple of times, or US is pretty stable with that, which means they are really serious with what they are thinking about. And they always implement the policy after careful consideration, which means you really don't have to worry after reaching US, okay, or whether I'm going to get my 3 year or one, whether I have to end up with 1 year and come back to my home country. No, it's always stable.
Great.
Okay, hi, sorry, Naz. So I want to add one more thing because all of the topics are covered already by Catherine, Ravi, and Pat. But I want to add one thing. In US, students are evaluated throughout the semesters, not only based on the final exam. You know, other countries, they evaluate students only based on their final exams. But in the US, we are evaluating our students throughout the semesters. So it is a big difference from other countries we are doing in the US universities.
Point.
Thank you.
Great. So, Mr. Moon, the next question I would like to ask you is, how does the US education system support international students in terms of academic and social integration?
Thank you, Naz. So universities in the US, including Trine University, provide comprehensive support for students. International students orientation program introduce students to academic policies, campus resources, and local culture. Dedicated officer for international student service assets with visas, housing, and academic advising, ensuring a smooth transaction. Moreover, cultural events, student organizations, and monitoring program foster the social connection and help international students integrate into the campuses community. And the interactive collectivity create an inclusive environment where international students feel welcomed and supported.
Great. Does anyone else want to add any of your can you hear?
Yes,
Yes,
I
we
want to
can.
let the
Does anyone
schools go
else
first.
have any suggestion regarding
Tyler
this?
or Ratish, you guys have any ideas?
No, I mean,
Yeah.
Mr. Moon was very correct. Is that all universities across the U.S. really emphasize this comprehensive suite of services to really support and guide students throughout their academic journey at their institutions. We, in all institutions, ultimately want to see our students succeed both in the classroom and outside. So while, students are going to experience their educational learning outcomes from their classroom, there are a tremendous amount of additional support offices at universities across the US to help them with everything from mental health to off-campus housing to student activities and engagement. So it's really sort of this full suite of services that students are going to have access to in order to to be a successful student, both at the university and in the United States.
And I'll echo. So it takes a little bit of student initiative. When you go to a new country and you're speaking a different language all the time and you don't know everywhere and the campus has 400 buildings, the truth is it can be a little bit intimidating. So it requires the student to take a little bit of initiative and go to the career services office and say, hey, how do I find an internship? The staff members for these services that Tyler's talking about, they really, really want to help. It not only is it their job, they take pride in this, in helping people get an internship, get a job. There's places on campus where I tell students, come to campus, show your documents to the immigration officer and the campus DSO or PDSO, and then say, how can I get a job on campus? If you can work on campus and you get your social security card, you meet people on campus. You meet people you're not going to meet in the classroom. The truth is, many American students, they go to class and after class, they take their car and they go home or they go to their job. So for the international student who's not working off campus, not living with their family nearby, they have to be able to figure out a way to network. So go to career services, go to the job center and find a job, go to an academic networking session with your academic department and stuff. So the student needs to take a little bit of initiative, but the American staff on campus, universally, they want you to succeed and they want to help you.
Great, that's a great advice, Mr. Pat. My next question would be to you.
Do you mind giving me like just 1 minute to add like few more points into that, if you're okay?
Yeah.
Just based on my university, I can tell you again, like we do have a Bangladeshi Student Association on the campus where they take the leadership, the ownership of molding the students with the needs, what they have, as a connecting bridge between various departments, various issues, what they're having. Apart from that, we do have, like, for example, the public transportation system is completely free for the students, which means we don't want the students to, like, sitting in their room just because of things that they have to spend lots of money in exploring the things
Right.
around them. And the other thing is that most of the US universities, they have small classroom sizes. I don't want to pick on certain countries, but some of the countries, when you go to the classrooms, you can see that there'll be like 50, 100 students, where most of the US universities, they will be having a very small classroom sizes, like less than 15 students. And it's a truth, it's a truth that most of the professors, they know the students by name actually. And they always keep a long-standing relation with the students. And apart from that, like most of the universities in US, they have more than hundreds of clubs on the campus where the students can engage, participate in various activities. So we generally call that in US, it's not just a studies, it's an experience actually. It's like, you experience everything when you're studying. It's just not academic.
Great. So, Mr. Ravi, what are the most popular fields of study for international students in the US and why?
Generally, I would say it's very easy to say they are STEM programs, STEM approved programs that basically that's most of the international students looking for. STEM means science, technology, engineering, mathematics, but don't like look into the gap only. For example, Gannon University, almost all our master programs are STEM program. For example, the public administration is a STEM, strategic communication is a STEM, business administration is a STEM. Then we do have, like, cyber, like 4 areas in the computer science. From Bangladesh, mainly the students are interested with business program and the computer science programs.
Great. What about Lewis University? Which courses do you think, Mr. Tyler, is most popular for international students in Lewis?
Yeah, so I would say, kind of similar to the first question that you answered about, how the panelists were sharing how the U.S. education system is flexible and offers a lot of opportunity to students. I would give a very similar response here, and it's that students really need to pursue their passion and pursue a degree in the United States that's going to lead to a career outcome back in their home country. And that's where students are going to find the most success, and so it's really different. Students from South Korea could be a popular degree to a student from South Korea could be very different than a popular degree from a student from Canada. So it's most important that students start like with the end goal in mind. What is a field within my home country that I want to be employed in? Is that business? Is that IT? Is that aviation? And then turn to the US institutions and find the one that best matches their career goals. And that mindset is going to help them, particularly as they move through the visa interview process, because being able to speak with that full story in place, that this is the job I want, this is the university that's going to help me achieve the education that I need to obtain that job, and that's why I've ultimately chose to study in the United States, is going to serve the student better in the long run, both in the US and back at home. So there isn't really one popular program. It's anywhere the student wants to study, the US has that opportunity, and the student just needs to think about what's their field back in their home country.
Great. My next question would be to Pat. Pat, what are the common misconceptions about studying in the USA that the international students have or encounter?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. Number one, I'll say, I think some students and particularly some parents have the conception that the U.S. can be a really, really dangerous place. And the truth is, over the past 20 years, our crime rates have gone down dramatically. Um, so that's one. And another part of that is campus, I don't know if you want to call it campus security or campus police, but campuses are usually very safe. There's a report that comes out every year for every campus. They report to the federal government. It's public information. So I think the safety issue, I mean, it's not perfectly safe. I mean, I'm not saying there's no danger, but it's campuses are really safe, and campuses have police departments. They have security mechanisms. In California, I don't know about the other states, on campus there's these poles with a blue light, and if you press that blue light, somebody comes and walks you to your car or walks you to your apartment, so you're safe. And it's not a burden. There's people who do this 24/7, right? So I think that's a big deal. I think excuse me. I think another misconception or impression might be that how intimidating a large campus or a university can be. As we said earlier, and Tyler referenced, the immigration office, the career services office, the housing office, these offices have staff dedicated to helping students succeed. So I think students are sometimes under the impression that it's just too big to get personalized service. And I think US campuses do a great job of hand-holding and making sure people succeed.
I can add to that. And particularly focus on graduate level master's studies. One of the misconceptions that we see a lot is that it's going to be easy, and I would like to dispel that like significantly. And it's that master's level programs in the United States are not easy, regardless of a student's previous background, their previous education, or their years with experience in the professional field. Is that a master's degree from a U.S. institution is going to be very difficult, and it's designed purposefully to challenge students and to give them a very rigorous education. So students who are coming into a U.S. master's program expecting to just sort of coast through are going to have a very difficult time. And that's one of the things that makes the U.S. education system so attractive, not only to international students, but to American students, as well as to American employers, is that they know students coming out of U.S. Universities with a master's degree are going to have some of the best education in the world. So we need to keep those degrees difficult and challenging in order to push the students to continue that pursuit of this high level education. So
I think
students
Tyler
should
makes
not
a
have
great
this
point.
misconception that it's going to be easy to come through a master's program in the
Yeah, I
US.
think Tyler makes a great point. And just for context, at a master's level, you're taking 9 hours of class a week, and you're probably expected to do at least 40 hours of work outside of class.
Yeah,
So
good
it's
point.
a full-time job, you know.
Yeah, great. My next question would be to Mr. Moon.
One
Mr.
second.
Can you?
I think there are like a few more points if you're okay with that. One of the other things which I have noticed is that many people think that US is quite expensive comparing to the other countries, but the fact is that it is not at all expensive. For example, most of the universities, they do give the scholarship to the students to make the price lower. Depends upon from where they're coming. In fact, at my university, for the bachelor students, our normal tuition fees is like $40,000, but for the students from Bangladesh, they only have to pay like $14,500 per year as a tuition fees for the bachelor. And in fact, for the master, after the scholarship, I would say the complete program fees is going to be roughly around like $22,500 to $30,000. That means I'm saying about the complete program tuition fees. Like if you go to Australia or Canada, UK or some other countries, there is no way. And the other thing is that people usually think that it's hard to get the visa. Yes, it can be hard to get the visa if you're not really prepared. So US always want to see that whether you are really selecting the major based on your pure interest and you have a passion to study that program, rather than just trying for getting a visa. That's not going to work. The last one, as most of the panelists they said about the safety. And most of the universities, they do offer lots of safety precautions, things to the students. For example, in my university, Gannon University, regardless of what time it is, like, if it is 1 a.m. in the early morning, if they're doing a campaign study, and if the campaign study place is like maybe 1 kilometer far from the place where they're staying, we do offer the pickup service for free for the students from the police department side. Our Gannon police department team will come. One of the night riders, they will come. They'll pick the student. They'll drop them in the place where they're staying to make sure there is no chance for a crime to happen. So.
Great. Thanks for already answering my next question, Mr. Ravi. I would like to ask Trine University about your scholarship and financial aids. What scholarships are you offering?
Thank you, Naz. Actually, we have a misconception regarding our expensiveness of US education. So Ravi already cleared it. Most of the Bangladeshi students or parents are thinking US education is very expensive, but generally US universities are offering a lot of scholarships, and our tuition fees is very affordable comparing to other countries. Like in Trine University, our master's degree tuition fee is $17,250 for 2 years. Basically, it is very, very affordable comparing to other countries like Australia, Canada, US, UK. But in our undergraduate level, we are offering a high range of after scholarship, tuition fee will become basically our tuition fees in undergraduate, our tuition fee starts from 35,950, and we are offering scholarship from 8,000 to 19,000. Most of the Bangladeshi students are getting 19,000 scholarship, $19,000 scholarship. So after scholarship, our tuition fee become 16,950. So we are offering high range of scholarship, and in our master's degree, our tuition fee is very, very affordable. So US degree is not an expensive degree. Thank you.
Yeah, true. What about Lewis University, Mr. Tyler? What scholarships are we offering?
Yeah, very, very similar to Gannon and Trine, where we have undergraduate scholarships that significantly reduce the overall cost. And in our master's programs, very similar to the other panelists, are very affordable compared to degrees in the UK or Australia. So very similarly aligned, and that students should not think that price should be a barrier to their education in the United States. And I would just add that what one of the panelists mentioned earlier is that a lot of students will have the opportunity after they graduate to stay in the United States and work. And that's a huge benefit of their student visa. That students don't need to change a visa. There's no additional steps. You just need to graduate. And they can stay in the United States and work and earn a salary, and that helps to offset the initial investment and tuition that students initially made. So it's an added benefit to having an affordable university, but then also some career and salary potential afterwards to help with that investment.
Yeah, it's a great investment. So yeah, working with Bangladeshi students ourselves in Bangladesh, this is, as Mr. Moon mentioned, this has been a great misconception that universities of USA are very expensive. But they don't know if they apply for the right scholarship, it can be as affordable as any other destination. Thank you, Mr. Tyler, for answering the question. So my next,
I'd like to add something, Naz, sorry to interrupt. This is a great opportunity for students as well. Like the universities in USA is offering such kind of good scholarships, so that student can get their education in affordable fees. So this is the perfect time, I guess, to move forward for USA.
yeah. So my next question would be to Catherine. Catherine, what do you think? How do US universities and colleges ensure the safety and well-being of international students on campus?
Well, that's a great question for me, but I'm going to push that back on all three of our institutions that we have here. So I would love to hear, Mr. Moon, if you want to go first on how Trine University ensures the safety of students.
Thank you, Catherine. So as Pat said earlier, so all the universities in the US, they ensure the security and safety for not only for the students, but also for their staff. So definitely we are ensuring safety and security for all of our staffs and students 24/7 hours. So regarding the safety and well-being, universities are very conscious, and we are taking the lot of things to save our students. So I think there is no issue regarding safety and well-being in the US universities.
Tyler?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a good question, but it's very similar to, to the safety and well-being in any country. The students need to use common sense about where they travel and when. Don't leave your laptops, sitting in a car that's unlocked. Don't leave your cell phone on a table, unsupervised. And if students just use general common sense, the same common sense that they would use in their home country, there's really not going to be an issue. As the other panelists mentioned, that is one of the bigger misconceptions about the United States, is that crime isn't really a major issue, as long as you use common sense about what you're doing. But universities, they do have their own security or police force. It's incredibly safe environments to both live and to study. So it's really one of those issues that students shouldn't really have any concern about living on a campus, because all U.S. institutions take great lengths to ensure that their students feel safe and are safe.
Pat, would you like to add something?
Yeah, just to add to this, when a student comes to the States and does orientation, they talk about safety and security. They often bring the police in to talk to you and say, hey, we're nice people. You can talk to us. You can call us. Here's a text number. Press the blue button or something. So I think it's a really big deal to understand that.
And Ravi,
Right.
did you want to add anything?
But generally, I used to say to the people that if you're giving a chance for a crime to happen, there are all the possibility for the same crime to be happened. Okay, doesn't matter which part of the world you are in, it can happen. So it's always about you watch your surroundings regardless where you are. The second thing is that always keep certain things with you. For example, okay, in your mobile you save the code numbers. Use the service what the university is offering you. For example, some students, I have seen that even though we are giving them a free pickup service from the place where they are to the home in the night, regardless of the time, still they prefer to walk in the midnight, like 1:30, through an empty street. So I always used to tell them that please don't do that. That is not good, because you are in fact, you are creating a chance for a crime to happen. So why you want to do that? The same thing, like all the universities, they have topmost systems in place to make sure they are helping the students with the safety and everything that's needed for their life.
Great. So Ravi, my next question for you would be, how do your educational institution help the international students in finding the internship and work placements after graduation?
Okay. Not only my university, most of the universities, they do have career departments where they help the students. At Gannon, we have a job manager. We have a career success center where, in fact, you can go, you can get trained for your interview. You can even get the dress from there to prepare for your interview. That much of support they are offering. And if you want to create a good CV, there are people who are helping them to create the CV. There are people who are the job manager. They usually help the students to find the internship opportunities apart from dropping the emails to the students when the new internship opportunities are coming in. We do have a like 92% job placement ratio after the graduation as of now.
Great. Tyler, would you like to add something to this?
Yeah. This is a very important question for a lot of international students, especially at the graduate level. So, a lot of institutions in the United States put a lot of particular care and attention into their career service offices that are designed to support students as they search for jobs, as they prepare for applications and interviews, and to ultimately help them be placed at a site. I would add though, is that this is an important consideration for a student as they are choosing their university. To choose a university that is either specialized within their field. The more specialized your university is, the more employer connections they're going to have within that field. So, for example, if you want to get into medicine, find a particular school that focuses on medicine because that school is going to have better industry connections. If you want to focus on artificial intelligence, find a school that's dedicated to artificial intelligence because they're going to have a better employment opportunities for you. But the second part of that is just a university's overall ranking and reputation. As much as institutions in the United States will say that we don't really have a national ranking system, which is true, we do have, employers in the area do recognize universities for the quality of their graduates. So schools with a higher reputation and a better ranking, they typically have a higher price tag, but they are going to offer students much higher employment opportunities when they graduate. So we try to discourage students from just searching for the cheapest option. Yes, there are cheap schools. Yes, there are expensive schools. But if your goal is to seek OPT employment in the United States, finding that right balance of affordability and ranking and recognition is going to be a very important component to how you are to how a student is attractive and employable to those potential internships or employment providers in the future.
And just if I can briefly add, the university will have a centralized career services office. You can go get your resume written. You can go onto a platform like Handshake and look for a job. But many universities will have a career services office or a networking service at the academic department. This is particularly true at the graduate level, but a lot of American professors are well plugged into the professional community. And if you're doing good work for a professor for a couple semesters, you can approach him or her saying, I'm looking for an internship, I'm looking for a job, what can I do over the summer? So universities have the career services, some academic offices have another one. Students got to be able to take the initiative on that. But anyway, okay.
Yeah. So Pat,
Did she just freeze or just me?
Yeah, she froze on my
I
end.
was wondering, so I think
she's getting some network issues.
Maybe she's having some network issues.
Yeah.
So does anyone have the question in front of them?
hear me.
Oh, we're here.
Now we can hear you.
Sorry, so sorry about the interruption. My internet is a little bit shaky.
Okay.
Pat, I was asking you, how do you see the international education landscape in the US evolving in the next 5 to 10 years?
So, before the election, I went on and looked at the open doors data from about 1975 to now.
Yeah.
And the number of international students coming to the US just continues to go up. Republican, Democrat, blue, red, whatever. There are a couple instances where there's a temporary dip. COVID was the biggest dip in history, right? There was a Asian financial crisis in 2008 or 2012, there was a 1-year dip. But generally speaking, I think American universities, American society, we have a tradition of welcoming international students and immigration. And I think that'll probably continue. There'll be some talk about A, B, and C, but historically, if we listen to data, and as academics, we should listen to data a little bit. I see it going in a positive direction. The other thing I'll say is American universities themselves seem to be, especially the privates, but not just the privates, are more engaged in pursuing whether it's collaboration with universities, working with agencies, attending events, and participating in the international efforts. I would argue that 20 years ago, there was lip service paid to a lot of international. There were some words on the website, but I think now there's people at universities who are professionals. They've been in it for a while, and more universities are committed to it. So I see it very positive in the next 5 to 10 years. Tyler?
Does anyone want to add to what Pat said?
So actually, if we look for the data, and if we go through the open door data, this year more than 17,000 students went to USA for their higher studies, which is 26% growth comparing to last year. And Bangladesh is the 8th for the international students in the US. So the number and the market in Bangladesh is growing day by day. And if you research about last few years, so few years ago we sent more 8,000, then we sent 10,000 in 2021 and 22. Last year 22 and 23, 13,000 students went. This year 70,000. So each year it is increasing. There is no chance to decrease. So there is no possibility to decrease. And the foreign policy and everything, it is same for all the countries. So Bangladesh is not a special country, or they will not impose any law on orders for Bangladesh only. So the number and the market will grow definitely.
Yeah, I would like one more point. Like, I know there is a rumor in the market saying that there's a huge number of visa rejection for the US from Bangladesh. In fact, actually, the reason for the rejection is not because the percentage is high. The reason is because last year, for example, 10,000 students applied for the visa, and out of that, maybe like 4,000 got the visa. And this year, like 25,000 students applied for the visa, and out of that, 12,000 got the visa. So if you look into the total number of rejections, yes, definitely the number of rejection can be higher. But if we look into the ratio of the rejection, it is in fact less.
That's a great
Rovi,
point.
I want to add. Sorry, Pat. You can go.
Go ahead.
Pat.
I just think it's a great point. And in the newspaper, you read how many people are rejected, and then you look at the data, you see more than 1 million people in the US. What can I say?
Yeah. So this is the thing I want to add one thing with Rovi, that if we go through the official data, so still we are getting 56% visa approval from Bangladesh. So visa approval ratio and visa ratio is higher than refusal. But though we are getting some calls and information that we are not getting visa is not getting approval from Bangladesh, but these are thin myths. These are not true. Officially, we are getting 56% visa approval from Bangladesh. So visa approval ratio is high than refuse.
I will tell you a funny thing that happened like in the last semester for us. So the semester before that, we got roughly around like 100 students from Bangladesh. And the people were saying that the visa number is really, the ratio is really good for Gannon. The last week, we got like 180 students, and the students from Bangladesh who got the visa. And the people were telling that, hey, the visa ratio on Gannon is really less. So I was like, okay, it's almost double what we got from the market. And the people are saying that the visa ratio is low. The reason is very simple. I got like a 3,000 application for the last intake, comparing to 1,000 application in the intake before that.
And one more thing, Ravi, visa doesn't rely on the university. So
Yeah,
visa
that's a
officer
fact.
will not refuse a student only apply for Trine University or Gannon University or Lewis University.
Yeah, adding to that point, I just want to tell one thing that I was thinking about like earlier. Don't, okay, I know that there are lots of consultancies that are guiding the students for selecting the major like that. But as Taylor said earlier, please don't select the major by listening to someone else only. Okay, you need to follow your passion. If your passion is to become a businessman, then you go and do the business related programs. Okay, but if your passion is to go into some NGO sector, and there is no point of going to the visa officer and telling something about these things, because they know that you're telling lie from your face expression, from the way how you present the things, from your body text, everything. They know it's a lie. So only follow the passion, and always remember, US is not a country that is meant for someone just jumping in and having some very bad life or normal life, because they always look for the quality students, and the university also, they look for the quality students. Okay, and they believe your profile, they believe your application. That's why they're giving you an acceptance. So you need to be serious, or else you are going to simply waste like $550 just for a visa interview.
Great. Does anyone else have any advice regarding this? Okay, let's move into the next question. My next question would be to Tyler. How can international students best prepare for the cultural differences and transitions when moving to US from Bangladesh?
Sure, yeah, that's a great question. I think it's going to be, that cultural transition is going to be different for every student depending on their previous experiences. So I think I would say that once my biggest advice for students once they arrive and they are experiencing all of those cultural differences is to embrace it. Embrace it and get involved with as many different opportunities on campus as you can. The last thing that we want to see is students who just like sit in their apartment or sit in their dorm room. They go to class and then they go right back to their room, and they don't experience anything outside of the classroom. So getting involved with clubs and student organizations and international student groups and sports teams, that's how students can best navigate the cultural differences that they're going to experience, because it's going to expose them to just more new things. You're going to meet new friends. You're going to be you're going to experience new opportunities and sort of expand your network here in the United States. And you can't do that by just sitting in your room because you're shy or you're nervous. Embrace what you're doing, right? You're here in the US, and you have the opportunity to make the most out of that time here. So
If I can
get
jump in here,
involved with
Bill,
as many things as you can to help navigate the cultural differences.
yeah, I think Tyler's 100% correct. And getting it when you're working. I know I had a Chinese student years ago, and he got a job at the restaurant on campus, and he was flipping burgers and making French fries on campus. But he said the people he met working, some other students and some other people, he just said he learned so much about America. They were helping him, they were talking to him. He learned a boatload just flipping burgers. So it's not like, oh gee, that's a bad job. It's an experience. The other thing, and like Tyler said, there's a lot going on campus. There'll be language clubs and sports clubs. There'll be a recreation center where you can do rock climbing or take swimming and go to a football game with a group of people. The other thing I'd say in there is students who volunteer in the community, whether on campus or off campus, it's often a great experience. It's a great networking opportunity. There's charities, the religious organizations, business organizations. The Chamber of Commerce takes volunteers a lot. So I think that's a big deal. And the other thing I'll say, that the cultural adaptation, it's not your first week, it's not your first month. it's your entire life in another country. And just to give a real small story, so I'm married to a Japanese lady, and about 25 years ago, we were living in Saudi Arabia, and it was a Thursday, and it's not a hot Thursday is not a it was not a vacation day in Saudi, but we had a turkey, and something was happening, and I said something to my wife, and she said, "You know, Pat, it's not my holiday." And I mean, for like 12 years, she'd been making Thanksgiving dinner, so I thought it was normal. And then I realized after all this marriage, oh, she's right. She doesn't make turkey in Japan. It's not her holiday. So I think students have to be open to the fact that the cultural adjustment, small steps, big steps, you'll find it 10 years after you've been in a new country, you're still learning.
Yeah, true. I mean, the more they are open to new friendships and more interactions, the more they will be able to adjust in the culture, US culture.
Yeah, I would just like to add like two more things. One of the major issue what I've seen from the students when they're coming for the first time is they usually blame on saying that there's no halal food. Okay. But I usually used to tell the students that we have the students from almost 74 countries on the campus, including from Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, almost all the Arab countries, and they are able to find it. And so I usually used to ask the student, did you got a chance to walk around to check whether there is any grocery shop that's offering? They will say no. Then how you are going to know that? Oh, I thought there is nothing. So I believed my thought. No, don't do that. US is not a country for like people who are going to think without experiencing it. You need to walk around, you need to talk to the people. There is no harm in saying a hi to a person who is walking the street and asking for a help. So I usually tell the students, please go ahead, do it. The second thing is like, we do have a global host. During the orientation, every student will be having a global host, an academic advisor for them. So if you have any problem, before you travel itself, you have the option to talk to them to get these things cleared so they can guide you. At least, when you're coming in, maybe sometimes they won't be having the answer, but trust me, they'll be preparing these questions. And once you're in the campus for the orientation, they will notice you, they will come to you, they will explain you the answer for the question which you have.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree with you, Mr. Ravi. So we are towards the end of our discussion. I think we have covered most of our points that we had planned. Lastly, I would ask all of you if you have any advice to our international students who are coming to the USA. It can be regarding, in your university, anything you would like to add as an advice to our students and recruitment partners who would recruit their students.
Or yeah, I can start. I think I would remind students to think hard about the insight that these panelists had shared. This is a lot of incredibly useful information for students to think about as they are considering studying in the United States. It's a major step to study in the US. It's going to cost money, it's going to take time, it's going to take effort. So ensuring that you are prepared and that you have taken the necessary steps to position yourself for success are going to be important. And choosing a school that's going to help you obtain your goals is equally important. So do your own research. Apply for schools that you think are going to support you, and that are gonna be dedicated to your success, and that are going to ultimately help you achieve that goal, whether it's OPT in the US or heading back home. Kind of keep that big picture in mind of what do you want after a university.
Yes.
Thanks, everyone.
So,
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure that we got to the questions in the Q&A. I saw one of them being, who accepts the medium of instruction in English?
I replied.
Okay, but for the three institutions that we have on here, do any of you accept that?
See, for us, we don't need the English proficiency at all when they make the application, and they can get the acceptance on I-20 for the main program itself. However, before they enroll into the main program, they have three options. Option number one, They can submit their IELTS, TOEFL, PTE, Duolingo, any of these test score when they're making an application. Option number 2, before they come or before they enroll to the program or after reaching the campus, they can submit one of these test score. And option number 3 is that they can go and sit for a placement test. We have a free ESL placement test is available on the campus. They can go, they can sit for the placement test. If they're passing the test, they can go to the academic program. If they are not, then depends upon the level of the English, what they have, they need to go and do the ESL program before the academic program. And
Awesome.
adding to the MOI point, I know many students, they have the same question, but trust me, the reason why the US universities are asking for your English proficiency is to make sure soon after you reach in the campus, the right support can be offered to you. And plus, you'll be having a smooth transition during your first couple of days. If your English is really bad, you are going to be moved out in many places because you won't be able to communicate in the society and you won't be able to interact with the other people. For example, we have, as I said, like we have students from 74 countries on the campus, and many institutions, they give the MOI even without having any validity for that. In fact, I'll tell you an example that happened for me. I don't want to tell from which country it is. So like 2 years back when I was on the campus, I got a student who came to me saying that I have an MOI. I said, well, you need to take your IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo. Exactly the way how he was talking is like this. You speak English, I speak English. My English is good, your English good. You talk, I talk. I said, my brother, this is not what we need. You need to improve your English. No, you talk, I talk. Me English good, you English good. I said, this is really hard. You need to listen to me. So at the end, I was totally good. I really got upset. So what I have done is I have given a call to the person who have given the MOI to the student. So in my call, I told him, say, hey, I'm calling from Gannon University. My name is Ratish. Just want to clarify certain things because I got an MOI from one of your students, which is signed from your side. And I was trying to convince a student saying that he really need to improve his English. It was like, like a 30-second silence from the next place. So after 30 seconds, he told me no English. So the person who had given the MOI really don't know how to speak. It's not like insult or something like that, but people try to get an examination for certain things through an easy way. But at the end of the day, you really need to have a good English to live in that country, because US is an English-speaking country. You need to interact with lots of people. And if you're looking for a really good life, good career, everything, my suggestion is the first attempt what you have to make is with your English. You need to know what your level of English is. And only through a test you can know that, not by believing your English is good.
Ratesh, that was perfect. Thank you. I would totally agree with that.
Yeah, me too. So, Mr. Moon, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, definitely. So as a institution, as a school, we're accepting MOI for our international students and including Bangladesh. So if student thinks their English is good, they can speak well, they can do better with their English, they can apply with the MOI. And besides MOI, we are accepting IELTS, PT, Duolingo, TOEFL, and Oxford ELLT test. So we are accepting all of these, not only MOI. MOI is only for them who can think and who can believe their English is good. Okay, my English is good. I do not need any test, and I don't have time to sit for IELTS or Duolingo. Then I will go with the MOI. So besides MOI, I already said we are accepting all the other tests. So student can apply with any one of these. Thank you, Naz.
You're welcome. So thank you, everybody, for your valuable thoughts. I would ask Catherine or Pat if you want to end this session with any of your valuable words.
The one thing I would mention is when a student's coming to the States, the student or their parents is going to be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's an investment. And when any of us make an investment that large, we're buying a house or doing something like that, we get expert advice. I can't tell you how many times I've been around the world and I feel bad when an 18-year-old is trying to figure out, I want to move to a new country and study a new thing and find new housing. And sometimes you need an expert's advice, and that's where I think the role of upGrad can come in, and the role of the admissions offices at a university. So I just want to say your parents are going to be spending a boatload of money. If you don't know, or you don't know what you don't know, seek advice. And I want to thank the team for organizing this. This was one of the most engaging, one of the more engaging sessions I've been in ages. Thank you very much to the team.
Thank you. Thank you, Pat, Kat, and Tyler, Moon, and Mr. Ratish to take the time. We actually had been discussing over this agenda for an hour. So I hope it was fruitful for our RPs. We thank all the participants who joined. We know it's late. We appreciate that you have joined this session. And yeah, great session. Hopefully we'll get to do this again very soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Everybody,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you. Bye.